Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19. You may have heard this comment before. And what's wild, and I bring this up now to do this because I've heard it a lot lately as we're gearing up for another dominant WNBA season from Caitlin Clark. All the nonsense is ratcheting up as well. And something that we heard all last season, that we heard about her career at Iowa, and we're hearing again now. So we're gonna break it down and talk about it a little bit. But after her unparalleled college career, you know all the numbers, all-time leading scorer, led the nation in assists 3 years out of four as well, led her conference as a freshman, third all time in assists, first all time in points, back-to-back finals, the whole deal. And then followed by just as dominant a WNBA rookie campaign, numerous records broken, first team all WNBA, only guard on the first team all WNBA, fourth in MVP voting, getting the Fever back to the playoffs for the first time in about a decade. Caitlin Clark's haters were left sputtering and blubbering. And there's just one thing that they had to cling to, that they kept shouting out over and over again because it was all they had, no matter what you said. This was what their response was, and their desperate attempt to tear down Caitlin Clark. But, but turnovers, turnovers. Yeah, about that. Let's talk about Caitlin Clark's turnovers. So this right here, we're going to take a look at the all-time career turnover list. Okay, and we'll look at the NBA, bold, bolder current players, asterisks. You see all those asterisks on almost every single player except the ones that are still playing. Those are Hall of Fame players. Those are Hall of Fame players. And by the way, looking at what you see here, LeBron James going to the Hall of Fame, Kevin Durant going to the Hall of Fame, Stephen Curry will be going to the Hall of Fame. It wouldn't surprise me if Westbrook and Harden also go to the Hall of Fame. Okay, so you've got the turnover list. LeBron James tops it. Russell Westbrook, Karl Malone, Hall of Fame. James Harden, John Stockton, Hall of Fame. John Stockton, probably the greatest point guard in NBA history, one of those forgotten players that doesn't get talked about enough and yet still fifth on the all-time turnover list. Kobe Bryant, Jason Kidd, Moses Malone, Isaiah Thomas, Hakeem Olajuwon, Kevin Durant, Patrick Ewing. It is like a who's who of all-time NBA greats. And I know, you'll get those people who say, but those are career numbers. All those guys played a long time. True. All those guys did play a long time. That is 100% correct. So, what does it look like for, say, the seasonal record? Huh. So, I'm seeing a lot of the best players who are currently playing and still a bunch of all-stars. James Harden, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Curtis Gilmore, Hall of Famer, Kevin Porter, Michael Ray Richardson, great players, just not in the Hall of Fame. Trae Young, great player, obviously a current player. Ricky Subera, Charles Barkley in the Hall of Fame, LeBron James, who will be going to the Hall of Fame, Bob McAdoo, Hall of Fame, George McGinnis, Hall of Fame, Ron Harper, phenomenal player, just not Hall of Famer, AI, Hall of Fame, Isaiah Thomas, Hall of Fame, and on for the individual seasonal records for turnovers. Okay, but wait, but what about per game? That's important too. Okay, well, let's look at that. Trae Young, active player, per game number for his career. This is a guy averaging over 25 points, almost 10 assists, 3.5 rebounds. Hey, look, Luca, number two, a guy who's averaging almost a triple double for his career, almost 29 points, over 8.5 rebounds, over 8 assists. Russell Westbrook, there I go again, over 21 points, 7 assists, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. Magic Johnson, 3.9 turnovers per game, almost 20 points, over 7 rebounds, over 11 assists. And on and on. Isaiah Thomas, John Well, James Harden, Allen Iverson. Again, a who's who of active greats who might make the Hall of Fame and Hall of Fame players. LeBron James is on there, right? Bernard King, who was phenomenal, phenomenal player. For those who don't know who Bernard King is, Kevin Durant, Dwayne Wade, Charles Barkley, Larry Bird, right? Steph Curry, Julius Irving. What are some of the things all these players have in common with Caitlin Clark? One, they're great players, period. So you can scream turnovers all you want. Anybody who's going to scream turnovers is going to tell me all these players that I just mentioned are not great players because of their turnovers. I feel bad for insulting a doorknob, but I don't know what else. How else do I make my point? IQ of a doorknob. I mean, no one who knows basketball is going to tell you every player I just mentioned is terrible because of their turnovers, right? That is absolutely absurd. On the face of it, that is absolutely absurd. So Caitlin Clark has to be in that category as well. By the way, what do most of these players, I won't say all, but what do most of these players have in common with Caitlin Clark? Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, Allen Iverson, Trey Young, Luca, all of these guys, and Caitlin Clark. Incredibly high usage. These are players whose teams run through them, players who have the ball so often, players who are ball dominant. So, of course, players who have the ball as much as someone like Caitlin Clark has the ball are going to commit a lot of turnovers, right? To that point, when you have someone like a Magic Johnson, passer that he is, a John Stockton, the passer that he is, a Larry Bird, the passer that he is, you're also going to get a lot of turnovers because they are so good and they are so skilled. Just like some quarterbacks have this issue too, they're going to try and make plays that are highlight reel, not because it's highlight reel, because they have such confidence in their ability and they for good reason that they are going to attempt passes that no one else would attempt. And it doesn't always work, but it works enough that you'd rather have them on your team and you'd rather have them on the court and you'd rather have them have the ball than not. No one is going to say at the end of a game, end of an important game, who's got Larry Bird is going to be like, well, yeah, I don't think we want the ball in Bird's hands. I don't think we want him making the decision on pass shoot because, turnovers. No, no, no. Let's keep that ball away from Magic Johnson at the end of the game because turnovers. Do you see how ridiculous, how over the top, absolutely dumb it sounds when I use players like that in these points that I'm making. And yet, that is exactly what they are saying about Caitlin Clark. Despite everything that she does, which is going to lead to more turnovers than other players, they're saying, well, no, no, she's not that good. So, no, no, you don't want her to have the ball at the end of the game. You don't want her taking the last shot. You don't want her making a pass to a teammate at the end of the game because turnovers. And of course, that doesn't include the fact that we all know, for those that are watching, that even though, yes, Caitlin has more turnovers than others, and yes, I think she can cut down on some of them, and I think she will cut down on some of them. But we also know that a lot of teammates dropped passes that she put in their hands. And when that happens, Caitlin Clark, as the passer, is the one who is credited with those turnovers. Here's something I bet you didn't know. Sorry about that. I thought I turned the mute on the mic and had to check it again. This is the 23 Indiana Fever. The one that got the number one pick to get Caitlin Clark that finished, what, 13 and 27, 563 turnovers over 40 games. Here is the 2024 Indiana Fever with Caitlin Clark and all those turnovers, 568 total turnovers, which includes all those drop passes early in the season. So over 40 games, The team with Caitlin Clark on the court had only 5 more turnovers than the previous year, yet also had a much better offense. They improved from 13 and 27 to 20 and 20 and made the playoffs for the first time in about a decade. And last thing I will leave you with on this, they led the league, by the way. Yes, led the league in field goal percentage and effective field goal percentage. So think about that. A team that was not up in the top in that category in 2023 because Caitlin Clark made them that much better. So, anyone who wants to scream about turnovers, if you feel you need to respond to these conversations, you could just shoot them this video if you want. The only thing is, last thing I'll mention is that most likely, if you've still got somebody screaming, but turnovers about Caitlin Clark, there is nothing that can be said, no facts that you can give them that's going to sway them from their lunacy. But let me know what your thoughts on all this in the comments below. As always, appreciate you checking out this video. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Really do appreciate it. Go have the day you deserve, and I will talk to you later.